All right. Well, I guess we're recording, so I guess we can just do the thing where, hey, this is a podcast. We're doing a podcast.
Oh my god, we are. Look at that.
Yep.
Holy shit. Okay.
It's one of those times where we do the podcast, and this is you and me. It's Paul and James. It's just us. It's a two-man crew.
It's a slightly different vibe.
I had to hide several things on the OBS so that it didn't show Craig the recording bot as Rhett.
Yeah, we don't want that.
We don't want that. What we do want is video games. And video games have been happening. You know, it's the start of that season, the season formerly known as E3 season. And
We got to come up with a new name for it because it's not coming back. So we're just gonna have to.
I dearly hope that someone comes up with E4.
Oh,
E4 would be awesome,
yeah.
but maybe they won't. So, anyways, Sony went first. That never happens. And the internet was damn well convinced that this was going to be the one. This was going to be the showcase, the big boy, the one that blew everyone's socks off and skirts up at the same time. And it kind of wasn't.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, depending on your strict Prezi rules, I, for one, follow the no game, no hype, them's the rules run, where it's like, if you show me a pre-render trailer, that's cool. I'm going to come back in 6 months when you have gameplay. Until then, I'm like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
So there was a few games that committed that cardinal sin
I mean, I
of
think
like,
what was more shocking, I guess, was what they didn't show, which was a lot of things. Basically, anything that any Sony studio was working on was not there. So is that stuff's just not ready, or they planning a second showcase later in the
well,
summer?
what was this? Was there a couple of highlights for you? What were the things specifically that you were like, holy shit, I can't believe they didn't show blank? Give me a couple of examples of stuff you were expecting.
Well, I mean, not so much that. Like, I try real hard not to go into these things with expectations. I thought it was a good
Yep.
showcase. I think
Yep.
it's a solid B.
Yep.
But, you know, they've got a lot of studios and they could have come out swinging. They could have shown some Death Stranding 2. They could have shown whatever Sony Santa Monica is working on, whatever Cory Barlog has been working on that's not God of War, whatever Bend Studio is up to, Media Molecule, the London studio, whatever that one's called, the people that make Astrobot. What are all these teams doing? I don't think it's the end of the world that they didn't show these things in this showcase, but they run the risk of getting the Xbox treatment from gamers if they go on and on and on, not saying anything about games that presumably must exist.
Well, the part of the trouble is that games, AAA games, which those are the kind of games these people have been making, are on a like 6 to 7 year dev cycle now. So like they're all working on shit, but like I think we could be like a full calendar year from even seeing any of it. Like, because you know it could be one of those situations where like here it is, we're working on it, okay, oh no wait, this sucks, donkey dick, we're going to can this immediately and no one will ever hear of it. um
I mean, it's
but
true.
yeah.
Xbox has run afoul of that as well with, you know, showing things like Scalebound, which looked cool, but apparently was the hottest of hot messes,
Okay.
such that it got,
Yeah.
you know, it got canceled. But I don't know. Maybe Sony has just left the door a teeny tiny wee bit open for Xbox to do something impressive and show the things, you know?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a couple of things that Xbox can drop for this summer season, for Prezi season. There's a couple things they can drop for Prezi season that like um that could work out in their favor. On the other hand, if they cannot show those things for Prezi season, then maybe the big wigs at Microsoft have to make some difficult decisions vis-a-vis what parts of the company they're slicing off like fucking rotten bits of cheese. Like it's just,
Honestly,
anyways,
well, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. I'm sure we'll talk about Xbox when their showcase comes out and they show the Starfield stuff. Uh, uh, God, that's been brutally mismanaged and in
sure
an
has.
epic and disturbing way. But anyways, we're going to talk about Xbox. We're not going to talk about Xbox. We're going to talk about PlayStation.
There we go. You got it.
And we're looking at the PlayStation blog because they've got the recap. They've got the everything announced at today's show feature, which is not in any way, shape, or form in order of the way that was on the showcase. But let's dive in. The first
Yeah,
thing that's
first, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, here's my question about this one. I did not even know that this was a Snake Eater trailer because I'm not, I'm not a Metal Gear Solid guy. And I was reading reactions to it, and they're like, as soon as I saw this animal, I knew what it was. I'm like, really?
I that's gotta be a lie. Like, no way. Everybody
But like,
knew this was on the docket, and
but like multiple people were like, as soon as I saw this animal, there's some person like, as soon as I saw this animal, I knew. I'm like, are, are you sure? Because
yeah,
to me, it was just like, oh, it's a bunch of wildlife eating each other, and then it was just like Metal Gear Solid. I'm like, if you say so.
yeah. I mean, I'm glad they're remaking this, but I'm not sure how much they're remaking it. Turns out Konami is developing this internally. Kojima's not involved.
No,
They are reusing the old VO from the original game. So,
do,
like, how much
do,
of a remake could it possibly be?
um, it's probably just gonna be like not remake as we understand the concept, but like a full neck to nuts remaster where they're like doing all new visual assets and maybe some new motion capture. Um, but I really hope that they have, some high quality masters for the voice work because otherwise it's not great, right? Like,
yeah, yeah, no. Uh, it's a good point, but it's a really good looking, solid snake model. Our big boss, since this is
yeah,
3. I hope they can
it,
do
it
something cool.
th- I was reading about this, and apparently Kojima did make it clear that, like, listen, the Metal Gear Solid franchise can live beyond me, and it should because he recognized that like it's like a film franchise, like James Bond or whatever. It's like it's not beholden to any one individual, and you should be able to make more of it. The trouble is that before he fucking uh, hit the bricks or whatever, that he made this such an auteur focused vision that like I don't know if there's any team out there that'd be like, yeah, I'll do another Metal Gear Solid game. I'll do a new one. Fuck yeah, I'll take that on. Like I don't.
Yeah,
On the
and
other hand, it has been a long enough time since the last game. It's possible that they'd be totally down. We're like, listen, it's been a while. We can do some new shit in the spirit of things. The fans wouldn't like it, but fans don't like anything, so fuck them. I don't know.
if the internet has told us anything, especially in the Elon Musk Twitter era, it's that no one likes anything.
Yeah,
That's just
whatever
science.
whatever they make will get review bombed into oblivion. It will have a 3% impact on game sales, and everybody will go on with their fucking day. I don't know.
I'm looking forward to it, and I will give huge props for throwing the Snake Eater song in the trailer, because man, that is epic and James Bond esque.
Yeah. Speaking of Bond. Yeah. Okay.
All right, we glazed over the PlayStation hardware stuff. That being,
Oh, yeah. Um, like I was talking to a buddy of mine because my understanding is that the Project Q is a remote play device, and remote play devices, in my experience, are basically doomed because they can't achieve the latency needed for it to be an effective device. But he pointed out that my experience is based on Xbox Remote Play, which runs through your smartphone. And because that's not a dedicated device, there's natural sort of like choke points and limits on how much how effective the transmission is, or so to speak. Like you got a hard cap on latency whenever you're using third party systems like that. And if they make this thing dedicated, right? Like if it's just it's a device specifically and solely for the purpose of playing your PS5 games uh, outside of your PS5, then there's a good chance that it'll run way better than the xCloud project.
have you used the PlayStation Remote Play feature before?
Um, no, I have not used it in any capacity. I know you could do it with the Vita, which is more dedicated than a phone, but less dedicated than I'm assuming this thing is going to be. Um, and I remember it being limited, mostly because there was like literal inputs that it couldn't handle. There's like it was missing buttons,
Right.
and so it was just like your shoulder buttons are the touchpad. It's like I'm already out.
So I have streamed PS5 to a PS4 before,
Okay,
and it works pretty good.
okay,
I wouldn't want to play the twitchiest Twitch shooter ever made or something like a Souls game through it, but even fast-paced action games, it's fine. So as long
okay.
as this is like a dedicated device that is doing only that, I don't know. I think it will find its niche. I don't think it's like necessary for anyone to pick this thing up, but
It's the only reason for this to exist is if you're living in a space with your spouse or your family where
yeah.
you have like room for like one gaming TV or just like one TV in general. And you want to fuck with your PlayStation 5 while the children want to watch cartoons or the spouse wants to watch anything. That is a scenario for which this exists. Or if you're so hardcore about that PlayStation life that you have to be playing these games whilst pooping or just before falling asleep. Or like, you know, somebody's trying to have a conversation with you and you're like, I'm at the table, I'm present, but I'm not though because I'm playing PS5. There's a limited range of opportunities for this thing, but they're there, right?
They exist. It does have a huge screen, 8 inches.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dope.
It does have a regular controller strapped on either side. So ostensibly,
Also
this
good.
is going to be more comfortable to hold than a Switch, which is playing a Switch is terrible in handheld mode. It's really hand crampy, especially if you've got to use the right stick. But there's literally no details on this, so Lord knows what it'll cost.
I'm gonna guess 70% of the cost of a PS5.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's like 350.
Ooh, no, 400. I did the math. Math was wrong. $400.
Yeah, 399. I could see it.
Oh, it might even be less because it's just a remote play device. Like if it doesn't have any like storage capacity and it's just you just stream things from the PS5, they could get away with charging a little bit less, like 300 to 350. They can make work, but like it's gonna be a lot of money.
They also showed some earbuds, and I really could not care less.
Yeah, do headsets? Or we're not doing headsets? Or is everybody not cool with headsets? It's just like, oh, you want to be stylish, you can't have a bunch of shit on your head. You got to use these tiny little earbuds.
Like, I think the one use case you could potentially make a case for is for VR and plug it into your ears when you're using your PSVR 2. But I have the other PlayStation headset, the regular one, and it fits perfectly while you're in the VR headset. So unless you really like stuff in your ear canals, I don't know who needs this.
Yeah, it's just I think they had a focus group or something, or some fucking market analyst was like, listen, over the ear headphones are not nearly fuckable enough for our taste. We're trying to give a certain vibe with the PlayStation 5, and we need more fuckable audio options than the over the ear ones.
And
They would use a different word, but I'm too crude for that, so I'm not gonna.
and God bless him, product design was like, okay.
Yep. They're like, all right, makes sense to me. It doesn't, but I also don't care. And away they went. Um,
Off they went. So next up, got to see the next thing from Bungie,
yeah.
which is the old
So,
thing from Bungie.
yeah. Apparently, this is what they call an extraction shooter, which is a word I first start a phrase I first started hearing when this showcase dropped, and already people were like, "Oh, fucking extraction shooter!" Like they learned what the word was, and then they were immediately, "Oh, it's that thing I don't like." And it's just like it was amazing how fast it happened.
Yeah, fascinating. Uh, Visually, I thought it was stunning.
Yeah, the art direction is hot as shit.
Uh, the the sound design, rad as hell. I'm sure there's going to be an overarching story because it's Bungie. They're gonna have lore. They, I swear, have a fucking massive lore team. So I'm sure there's going to be a story around this thing. Um, Also appreciate how it looks sufficiently different from the art of Destiny, except for the giant floating something broken in the sky above the earth.
I mean, let's be real, Paul. That is like that is the thing they do. That is Bungie's thing. A giant broken thing in the fucking sky, I believe, is a pretty important part of Halo as well.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
I think you're talking about a massive lore team. I think it's like three guys, and they have like very specific tastes when it comes to storytelling tropes.
Yeah, the brainstorming sessions are very, very focused.
Yeah, it's like, what's our giant floating fuck off thing gonna be? What have we not used? What can we lean on next? What sort of cool geometric shapes can we fucking uh, utilize for this next project?
I did see some like Tetris piece shapes, so I haven't seen that before. As far as geometry,
Yeah.
also a lot of tubes of goo going on.
Oh, I love it. I love a tube of goo. I mean, especially if it has like almost nothing to do with the raw mechanical loop. Like perfect. It's like, oh, we just really love goo tubes. They don't mean anything for your playtime, but like, they're cool, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
when you respawn, you got to re-goo.
Yeah, you got to regoo. You gotta go shooting through the tubes, and you come out and you shake the extra layer off your epidermis, and then you're ready to fight.
I'm
I
into
know I said the phrase extraction shooter a couple of times.
yeah.
I'm still not super clear as to what it's all about. My understanding is that it's kind of like a combination of like a battle royale with like PvE focused goals. So basically a bunch of people go in and they're trying to like acquire shit and get back out alive and with things. And then it's just like, great, you win. You did the thing, you extracted. And then other people just get murked and then they're like, well, you didn't come out with anything, so fuck you.
Yeah, you did not extract.
Yeah, you should have extracted, you didn't extract. You failed.
Yeah.
Um
Though I mean, the one example that comes to mind for me is Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. They had a
yeah.
couple of modes where it was, go to this point and get this thing and then defend the base while the ship tries to land. And I don't know. I think those modes are good.
Yeah.
I hope it's not like exclusively PvP. Um, I, it's just gonna be way too sweaty. I think a mix of like it's a PvP environment, but there are E's as well. You know?
I mean, we're at the time where you can be coming in and fucking up the formula. You know, you can go crazy with it.
Yeah. But again, that's one of those CG trailers where really we know nothing about what that's gonna play like. So
Yep. No game, no hype. Okay.
uh the next Destiny expansion, including Nathan Fillion.
Yeah. Um, my understanding is that that character's death was like pretty important and like kind of shaped the narrative, and it was like, hey, this gives it sort of weight. And now they're like, ha, but what if it didn't?
Yeah, it's Forsaken is undoubtedly the best Destiny expansion. Not close,
Yeah.
but also Cade 6 is a very beloved character in the mythos. So, uh I wouldn't be surprised if he's not alive, he's just dead and in some place that the dead people go.
Nice. Okay. So, question about the name. Are they actually planning on wrapping this motherfucker up at some point? Is this just like we're calling it the final shape? There'll be 9 more expansions, or the final shape is the final.
So, my understanding is that this is the last expansion for the whole New Light story. The story that started at the beginning of Destiny 2, this is the end of that.
Okay.
But I assume it'll be like Destiny does, that this is the expansion and there's also 4 seasons of content, a whole year of content around it. Um,
Okay.
but they
So,
have said they're not doing Destiny 3. I don't know that I believe that because their servers can't really keep up as it is. The framework is showing its age, so they got to do something. They got
well,
to.
it might just be this marathon game where there's just like, listen, we're putting this one out to pasture, with a bullet at some point, and then y'all are gonna start getting into marathon or getting the fuck out. I don't know.
Ooh,
Or
that's
maybe they'll just
so
let it limp
risky.
along like Blizzard did with Diablo 3 for a decade.
Yeah, could be. Or it could be another Blizzard classic, which is the mid life cycle overhaul, where WoW got a glow up, and then it was back in business for another 95 expansions.
Yeah.
Could be that too.
Okay.
Street Fighter 6. I
I
thought that was a waste of time to put in there.
Yeah. Um it's interesting that they're like, okay, we're doing a story mode. Check it out. We got a story mode. That nobody cares about that. Have you played the demo? I have played the demo.
I have not played the demo, but I'm with you. Who gives a shit about being yourself when you can be one of the Street Fighter characters? Like,
The only counterpoint. This means there's a character creator.
oh,
Yes. And character creators in fighting games are traditionally an endless source of entertainment. For me, this is more about the like let's play content and like the shit that people will produce, and it'll be all sorts of stuff for me to watch and enjoy. Less so for me to play because it's just like, oh well, okay, whatever. But like, man, if you can have a couple of customs just going at it looking completely buck wild, bring it on, baby. Let me have that shit. Um,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
fair.
it's 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 tangentially related to great news. The trailer itself is a big fat nothing burger, but the things that it promises and pertains to rule. So that's good.
Yeah, it did do a decent enough job of reminding us our characters are awesome. Like you,
Yeah.
no other fighting game hangs with these characters. I was like, yeah, pretty much. Nobody else has guile.
It's true. Um yeah. Oh man. Do they have that? I gotta fucking I gotta I gotta look that up right now. Yeah, Street Fighter 6 character creation. Tell me all about it. It'll form part of the new game mode. Yep, up, 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 bum, bum, bum. Yeah, so there was like, oh Jesus. Okay, so the second listing under videos is Street Fighter 6 hot female character creation. Okay, I have a fucking story. I have a buddy who put some nude mods onto Street Fighter 4.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely talked about this on the podcast before. It's worth bringing up again. The way these characters are designed and proportioned does not lend to nudity. Okay.
Uh-huh.
There's too much leg, too much foot, and like because they're like built so that their extremities are very prominent and like really in the action, you know? So you when you watch them do a punch or lay out a crazy kick, you're like, oh man, look at that fucking leg go, or look at that fist. When you take the clothes off these characters, they look wrong. They look really wrong.
And that sounds all the way right.
Yeah, maybe six is different. Maybe they're like you'll make a female avatar and you're like, oh man, she's super hot and her legs are kind of the right size. Oh, this rules.
And making your character correctly proportioned means that they're completely useless.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, you're shaped like a regular person. Great, you're never winning another battle.
Yeah.
I think soccer is more or less shaped like a regular person, so that's fine. But Chun Li in Street Fighter 4 is like 78% legs.
Yeah.
That's not it's not a good look.
Just no torso whatsoever.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it when you see it in action. If you're curious, you could look it up. You'll regret it, but you can do it.
Well, the next time I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm thinking about bleaching my eyes again. I'll do that just to push me over the edge.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh
So,
Next on their list is the big Spider-Man reveal.
big Spider-Man.
People seem upset about this, like it
Why?
doesn't look as good as it should. I think they are nuts.
Yeah. Well, um AAA games have this, think of it like a ship on the ocean, a really really big one because it's a AAA game. These guys that come into the comments being like, oh, the graphics aren't as perfect and here's why, think of these motherfuckers as the barnacles that situate themselves on the bottom half of the ship as it whips through the ocean.
Just
You know,
hanging on.
once in a while you have to fucking scrape these dudes off, but that is all the attention you need to pay to them.
Yeah. Uh I mean it looks hella fun. The symbiote suit looks great.
Yeah,
Love
it,
that Miles has new powers too. I don't know, man. It just looks like a good, fun comic book thrill ride, and Craven is obviously going to be an awesome villain. Super menacing. I don't know. I have no notes. This is going to be another one of those.
yeah, be another ass kicking fun time fucking PlayStation game.
Didn't get a date though. They just said
Um,
fall.
yeah, they've been saying that. My guess, if I had to guess, and I do, um, is that they're keeping it floaty because there's probably a couple of things that are dropping in the fall, and they want to make sure that the date they pick out for it is perfect. So you know what I mean? Like it hits a nice clean spot in the calendar, so they don't pull a fucking Horizon again.
Ugh. Yeah, that game got done dirty both times.
It's so funny.
Oh,
It's just yeah. After that happened twice, they're probably like, no, no, no. We're gonna consult the soothsayers, and we're gonna make sure that nothing else huge is dropping when we do Spider-Man 2.
yeah. Like I'm sure they want to put it out in September because that's done well for Spider-Man in the past. But with Starfield probably coming out in that region of time, uh,
Yeah.
maybe that doesn't make sense, or maybe it makes sense to wait and see if Starfield's any good and do the old slam dunkaroonie by dropping it a couple weeks after to make sure it doesn't get any traction.
Yeah, yeah, they could do that. And I feels like a pretty safe bet to me.
Yeah.
Like you could, like, I'm sure Starfield is going to rock, but it's also going to be a hot mess when it launches. So you can drop whatever on the same time, and people were like, "Well, at least Spider-Man runs like it's supposed to," you know.
But the gameplay reveal was at 30 FPS. There's no way I can play it.
Yeah, it's not like there's going to be a setting you can go to where it will not be 30 anymore.
Yeah,
Whatever that might be.
maybe just a little less ray traced.
Yeah.
I'm just got the gameplay up again, and the lighting
Yeah.
is tremendous. Come on, people! This looks decidedly next gen. Not photorealistic, but it's a comic book game. It's not supposed to look
Yeah.
photorealistic. It's
I
supposed
don't
to look
give a
fucking cool.
I don't give a shit about photorealistic graphics. I just don't. I don't care.
No, it never works. Literally, it never works. You gotta have a style. Anyway, Spider Man.
Okay.
Any more thoughts?
No, it's gonna be good, and yeah, that's the last word on it. So, fair games. Do we know who's doing this one?
Haven Studios, which Sony bought and is led by Jade Raymond of former Ubisoft fame,
Oh, okay.
which would be why it looked pretty Watch Dogs,
Yeah. Like a competitive heist experience is the tagline.
but not an extraction shooter.
Oh, I mean,
Maybe it
that's
is.
that's exactly what it is. Like if you're like, "Oh, we're all going to try to rob this bank at the same time." Congratulations. You just built an extraction shooter, which is fine. We only really like it's a relatively fresh idea. It doesn't have we don't have like the big one yet that like makes all the other ones look like copycats.
Yeah.
Like people were talking about Escape from Tarkov as being like, "Oh, this is the big extraction shooter." It's like that's cool. That game is so granular as to be borderline unplayable.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
you, yeah, the way you have to like reload in that game even is just like
Yeah. It's
no.
it's a level of tedium that some people want, but it's not this guy.
Yeah, not me. You know, I don't have a lot of brain power to spare for just anything, really. So, I need to be sitting here trying to figure out what way to point the fucking bullet so it goes into the fucking clip or whatever. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, yeah. When this trailer started, I thought it was a new Payday game.
Yeah, I think that's the vibe they're going for. That's probably a very deliberate comparison they're drawing.
This whole showcase, actually, all the stuff that they showed from first party was very leaning towards that whole live service game idea that they don't really have, or they haven't had for the last several years, with all the big budget third person action, awesome games. This was
Yeah,
tilted to
and
that other way of, hey, we can do other stuff.
yeah, and I mean, let's hope that they're not hitting the live service button too hard because we saw what happened when with that Gotham game or whatever. It's like, yo, check it out. Or no, it's the Suicide Squad. They're
Oh
like,
God.
it's gonna be so good. Uh, it's a live service game, and then it looks and feels like a live service game from the gameplay trailer. Like, could you delay this forever, please?
Yeah,
Um,
delay this back into the Stone Age.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I do think that's a big reason why they bought Bungie. There's
yeah,
quite a few stories out there about why we didn't see things like the Last of Us multiplayer game. It's because Sony had Bungie go and tear some people down a few notches. Of this game won't live. There's no good reason for people to continue playing this game. You've got to do something. Uh, so we can hope and pray that the ones that have come out in this showcase have been vetted by those people that know what they're doing with a live service.
yeah. I'm I'm so I'm so many years removed from my last really enticing, memorable multiplayer experience that every time they're like, "Oh, it's going to be a sweet multiplayer live service game," I'm like, "That's great news for a completely different demographic than the one I currently occupy." That rocks. I hope you guys have fun.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Helldivers 2, a extraction shooter,
God damn it.
pretty much. Did you ever play that first one?
No, man.
Yeah.
Tell me, did you tell me about it?
I didn't play it extensively.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, this trailer is kind of weird. It's got a bit of a Starship Troopers vibe.
Oh my God, that's okay. Yes, it's like Starship Troopers with the serial numbers filed off. And everybody was like, oh, thank God, because the actual Starship Troopers game looked like dog shit.
Yeah. uh, but anyways, the first Helldivers game was like incredibly difficult. Uh, yeah, very difficult. So I'm sure this will kind of follow in those footsteps.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, blow stuff up, shoot things.
Shoot the
It's
bugs,
a
man.
shooter.
It's the bug planet. It's Starship Troopers. It's so Starship Troopers, it's astonishing. I was when they show it's like a Helldivers 2, I'm like, are you sure it's Helldivers 2? Like, cause like I don't did you not did you like drop the wrong title card or something? This is like, okay, cool.
I do like how they specifically made sure to show like 5 or 6 different biomes, um, so that you're not always in that red, boring desert, and you can do other cool stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. It looks pretty fun.
it does. It being a Starship Troopers clone isn't a bad thing. It's just amusing. It's an amusing detail.
Yeah, I'm doing my part.
Yeah. So Concord we can just kind of blow by, right? Because it's just like they showed as little as they could possibly get away with.
Yeah, it's like Firewalk is a studio that exists For sure. It's definitely real, and Concord is for sure a game. I like the
Yeah,
art. It's kind of a, neon 70s vibe, a little bit like aliens
they
tech, except
yeah, they
more neon.
the phrase I've heard bandied about is used future, where like you
Oh, I
see,
like that.
yeah, that's how you sort of describe like the stuff in the Aliens franchise, and to a certain extent like Star Wars, where everything's kind of like a little grungy, a little busted up, but still very advanced, but kind of retro at the same time. Used future. So Concord's rocking that vibe, and that's great. That's great news. Um,
Do you think this is a space trucking game?
no,
I want to read you this little bit here. Concord is bringing together of the peoples. It's the power of games to build connection and inspire social play. The Firewalk team is driven by the type of exciting, unexpected moments and shared experiences that multiplayer games create. Every time you log on is the beginning of a new adventure, and every match is an opportunity for a new story. It's these ideals that define Concord, its unique universe of vibrant worlds, and its rich cast of colorful characters.
okay. First of all, you just described every multiplayer first person shooter. All of them. You just covered every single one.
No!
So, like,
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
so broad that it could very well be about space truckers. It's like a fucking horoscope. It's like, oh, I'm a Virgo. That applies to me specifically. That's great. How'd you know? You know, a really good guess, right? It's just like,
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure we'll see more of this at some point.
um, Alan Wake 2 doesn't look like you're controlling the Alan Wake. Looks like you're controlling a different person with a gun and a startled expression on their face at all times.
I have heard that you do control Alan Wake as well,
Okay, so it's a double feature. That's cool.
but very survival horror vibe.
Yeah.
More so than that first game had a little bit of it, but it does not hold up well.
Well, we're all subject to the ravages of time. Uh,
Hey, always down for another Remedy game. Uh,
yeah. No, they do good work. They really put the pedal to the metal, make it happen. It's great. Can't
coming out this year. That's one of those ones that's this year, but
right. So
multi-platform.
that one that one's got a hard date. So maybe that's why Spider-Man's floating. That and Starfield.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, there's another Assassin's Creed game. It looks like another Assassin's Creed game. I don't know. God, why are we still making these fucking things?
So this is the one that's supposed to be back to the old ways of assassinating fools, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a little more into that than the hack and slash nonsense that they've gotten away with the last few. I don't know. It's like we're making the game that the first Assassin's Creed should have been.
Well, I mean, that's cool of them.
This trailer really lost me at the part. It's like you could bribe the guards to get through the gate. Oh, come on! You couldn't. You couldn't think of anything else. The master assassin. There should be a plethora of options, and not just the hidden blade. Anyway,
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, well, we've never done bribery before. You should try that. I'm like, you've never done it before because it sucks, man. It's like a cheat code you do with in-game currency. It's like, God, who cares?
yeah. The combat does look pretty fluid, pretty nice. It says it's a gameplay trailer. I don't know, man. I don't see any HUD. I don't see a HUD. I don't believe it's real.
Hey, man, if it's like a next gen console only thing, maybe that is what it looks like.
It's entirely possible.
We'll see. Could be a bunch of bull shots. You know.
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yep.
I like that first
Uh,
game.
yeah. It's boy it. Man, I don't know a fucking thing about Dragon's Dogma. I know it's just like, oh, it's people liked it. People liked it a lot back in the day, and I missed that boat completely. It was out in the ocean, and I was still in bed. Didn't even make it to the fucking harbor. Um,
It was like it was trying to be that big fantasy world that Skyrim was, but
oh,
with fun happening. Skyrim is
okay,
all about the world building and the combat is oh boy, right? You deal
yeah,
with it because you want to play Skyrim. Uh, Dragon's Dogma played a lot better. It was more fun to try and kill a dragon. Um, the question is, which direction do they go with this? Do they make it the size and scope that it feels like the populace demands now, or do they try and keep it a little more narrow and have it be denser? I'd prefer denser.
yeah. Capcom's good about like, no, we're gonna make the game we want to make, and you can just like it or get fucked. You know, like.
Uh,
Plus, they're really good at like intense, cool games that don't they just don't blow up in scope. You know what I mean? Where it's just like it's big enough for us, so I don't know, whatever.
Also, they can do no wrong right now. Uh,
It's true. They are kicking major ass at present. Um,
yeah, this is a day one buy for me based on what they showed. Let's
yeah,
go. Let's see it. Let's swing some giant swords and cast some spells.
yeah, hell yeah,
Final Fantasy 16. Hmm.
yep.
Again, I,
I'm
I don't know why this was in the showcase. I don't need any more convincing. I actually don't want to see any more of the game.
yeah. I can't fucking wait. I'm like, this is a day one for me for sure. It looks like they've been perfecting a combat system for a couple of games now. They started trying to make it work with 15. They got better with the 7 remake, and now they're sort of like dialing into a sort of style like that with 16. Um,
What's really fun
and
is none of those games are made by the same team.
yeah, that's cool shit. That's
Yeah.
great. It's just like they're like it's like listen, this is what RPG combat has to look like now, and you all got to be on board. And they just said, yes, absolutely, we're doing it.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I was already extremely hyped for this game, but seeing some of those final previews where people are going, it may come down to this or Zelda as game of the year. And I was
yeah,
like, yes, please.
that's that's great. That's great. I love that. I love that for us. You know.
Give me the 80 hours of hacking and slashing and cool fantasy medieval stuff and casting spells
Yeah,
and
we haven't done a medieval one in fucking ages. You know, we've been doing like, oh, it's sort of a modern world, but like a little different, or like,
yeah.
uh, for like a bunch of games, and like, I mean, 14 is more fantasy, but even that feels like a big, broad, weird Final Fantasy type fantasy, whereas this one's like straight up swords and sorcery and summons, and you're like, all right, great, fucking hook it up.
Yeah, hearing lots of really great stuff about the story too. That it's well written and well acted and great. Again, no notes. Let's just play it.
Yeah, I'm uh, I'm into that. Feel good about it.
Are you into foam stars though?
Oh my god, I cannot believe this is a real fucking thing that they made where they were just like, what if we did a Splatoon? End of sentence.
With generic anime characters, and instead of paint, it's soap.
Yeah, but like sculptable soap that you can stand on. It's like a 3D version, sort of. You know what I mean? Where it's like you're shooting. It's like you're using a 3D printer instead of a paint gun. And that's something. Somebody pointed out that like it's Splatoon for the crowd that doesn't want to develop any extremely weird fetishes, just like a slightly weird fetish. Where it's like you don't want to sexualize these weird octopus squid kids. Great. Here's a human woman, more or less, shooting a foam gun. Um, it's crazy that this is a Square Enix title. That's insane to me that they're like, we're gonna make a fucking we're gonna make a fucking arena shooter. I don't understand what got them to this place. It feels like they had this idea when the first Splatoon launched, and it's taken until now to actualize it.
Yeah, I could not have been more surprised at what this turned into after the, you know, a neon Square Enix logo shows up at the start of the thing. And once this trailer turned to gameplay, I thought, oh boy. Um, yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, it's a party shooter. It's a party type game. It's a very fun, silly premise. So when it drops, if people, if they bring the hype, they're like, hey, this turns out this rocks, and you watch gameplay and it's like, oh man, that looks really fun. I'm prepared for that. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think
Yeah.
I think a couple of people have tried to replicate Splatoon's magic formula, and they have all miserably failed. Do you remember Ninjala? No, you don't. Of course you fucking don't. I'm not even sure I got the name right. It has ninja in it, and it vanished off the face of the fucking earth.
Yeah.
Um,
Foam Stars
I feel
focuses on delivering a fresh new take on the shooter genre, all based around the concept of engaging in energetic foam battles that anyone can pick up and play. Okay.
yeah, we're doing a Splatoon. Please don't fucking slam dunk us into the crust of the earth. Um, we promise this different for reasons. Yeah,
Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
I I played the fighting game that's from the same franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, that Arc System Works game, right?
Yeah, and it rules. They're cool characters. It's an interesting world. And I was like, man, I wonder what these guys are like when they're not just stuck in these weird little fighting arenas. And now here's this big, beautiful, fucking cool ass game that answers that question for me.
They look pretty
I,
cool.
I'm pretty I'm pretty burnt out on anime type games, but like I'm always prepared to be reinvigorated. And Grand Blue seems like a pretty fucking rockin' franchise for that. So like, once we get some gameplay and like, or once I, we must have gameplay by now because the trailer headlines like two new playable characters.
Yeah, there was some gameplay in the trailer.
Great. So I gotta take a closer look at that and see if I can get an idea of whether or not this is gonna be for me, if it's gonna be some silly nonsense.
They are engaging hard in the well-worn anime trope of having the cringiest "I'm attacking the enemy" lines ever. I was pretty
Okay.
into it.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, lean in hard, steer into the skid.
Yeah. There was another one like that. Tower of Fantasy. Is that the other
Yes.
one? Man,
And
was it hard to tell those two friggin' things apart.
when they showed Tower Fantasy, I was like, this is just Genshin Impact, right? right?
Yeah.
And then it wasn't. It's an immersive cyberpunk open world RPG, it says. So
Yeah. I don't know.
I have a feeling that game is just going to vanish. It's going to drop this summer, and then I will never hear from it again. It'll get like a solid 75, 78 on Metacritic, and it will just disappear.
I'll tell you what I really liked was when they were showing gameplay and some of the attacks were generating damage numbers in the well into the hundred thousands. Like
Okay.
why don't you just divide everything by 1,000 and you know then there's a sensible number of things on the screen at once. But no, they didn't do that because we like to see the numbers go up.
Yes. It pleases the lizard brain. We want to see that shit. Um Immortals of Avium. I don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't know if I'll ever learn.
You could ask Alex Thomas because he's played it.
Yes, he's got a lot of words for it. It's going to be another one of his classic AT fixations. Um, exciting times for all of us. Uh, it it could be good. I don't know. It could be good.
It looks
He was
fun.
like, yeah, he was like, it's got kind of hexen vibes. I'm like, that. It's not really selling me on it, but maybe
Have you played Hexen in the last 30 years? Yikes.
no, and I don't believe that anybody has.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
if they
you
say they
shouldn't.
have, they're fucking liars.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, it's an EA original, this one.
yeah, it's just like it's like Battlefield, but like Final Fantasy, or like but like fantasy with magic and shit. So like, great. That's I don't know what else you need. Nothing.
Yeah, I kind of expect this. I mean, this is kind of what I'm expecting out of Avowed, if that ever gets shown by Xbox.
Yeah,
If that looks this good, I'll be happy.
yeah.
Uh, PSVR 2. Do we really need to go into some of these? I don't know.
Mm, no, no.
Maybe Synapse. That looked kind of cool.
Great. I Is that the one that looked like super hot kind of stylistically?
Yeah, it was like hacking into somebody's brain. That's somebody being David Hayter and his incredibly unique voice. Uh, I would probably play this just for Hayter.
Okay.
But that said, it looked way more interesting before I knew it was like a roguelite kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's a hard pass from old Mr. Paley, I tell you what. Um
Really? I thought you were the world's biggest roguelite fan. It's not true.
yeah, it I definitely play a lot of them. I don't know why, because I don't like myself very much, I guess. Um I think I just had a couple of really good, amazing roguelite experiences and was like, well, I can reproduce this, right? I can't. It, it's
Yeah,
fine.
just sit on the whole genre and wait for Hades too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. We got a few things left. It's all the indies.
Okay.
Which of the indies stood out to you?
Um, the Plucky Squires visuals are really fascinating.
Yeah.
The presentation is really cool. I don't know if it's going to hold up in terms of gameplay, but like the look and feel of it is just it's very much like way outside of what you normally get in games like this. And worth a little extra attention.
Yeah, I love anything that screws with perspective like that.
Yeah.
There's one shot in the trailer where uh, you're playing the 2D game while going up the stairs of the 3D world. Uh, it, yeah, I think they could do some really interesting stuff with that. But, you know, there's a million 2D games like this, and there's a million 3D games like this. So they have to hit a pretty specific window to make that work.
Um, Teardown is coming to PS5. Teardown is a very simple, very stupid premise. You're like a demolitions person, so it's like a voxel type world that where like anything and everything can be destroyed if you have the right tools. It's like Power Wash Simulator. It's so dumb you could play it for hours.
Yeah, it's like Blast Core for the new age.
Yeah, just blow shit up. It's great. Um, uh, Neva, which is like the from the developers of Greece. Uh,
Oh, they lingered on that the dead dog for so long. Like I get it.
yeah,
I'm supposed to feel.
yeah. That one. I'll be like, I'll probably wait on reviews, see how people feel about it. Could be
Grease was
good. Could be
outstanding.
yes. So like that alone is enough to get them at least get them in on my radar.
Mhm. Yeah, very striking visually. Hopefully, it's a little bit different on the gameplay side than that last one they made. But it's getting a lot harder to do anything unique in the 2D space. There's just
Yeah,
so many
we're
things.
really it's true. There's a there's countless ideas out there, and so many of them just like fail to penetrate the noise.
There was Ultros.
Yes, Ultros looks wild. That looks wild. I couldn't even um couldn't even parse it properly. It was just like, okay, it looks great. I can't. I can't. It's fine. I'll pay attention to that at some point in the future. Um, I have a feeling that the visuals will pair nicely with extremely frustrating gameplay. So I'm like
Yeah,
not super into it, but like again, happy to be proven wrong.
it it's like the polar opposite of Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
It looks cool.
it does.
I mean, everything looks cool, but
Yeah,
is it cool?
the
We don't
Talos
know.
Principle 2. Um,
That was not what I expected to show up as the title of the game. I was like, what is this?
yeah.
I don't know. Like that, the first Talos Principle was a murder mystery, basically.
Yeah, and I guess they're kind of blowing open the narrative a little bit, you know. Uh Trying to do something new and cool with that same mechanical premise, which great. I'm down.
Embark on a quest to investigate a mysterious megastructure, and along the way, you'll be confronted with questions about the nature of the cosmos, faith versus reason, and the fear of repeating humankind's mistakes. Heartwarming.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm down.
It sounds good. The first game is really great. Uh, a little hard to get into, but once you're kind of in the thick of the story, it's really, really challenging to put that one down. So hopefully they kick this one off with a little bit more of a bang, um, to
Right.
keep things moving along. Ghost Runner 2, I know people love that first game. I've never played it.
Um, it frustrated me to no end, but it's kind of designed to. So like,
Yeah.
it's like a first person platformer, but like things are trying to kill you, and they're quite good at it.
Did the
So
first game
it's
have
basically
sick motorcycles driving down the side of a building?
no, those are new.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, no, visually the flavor of it is great. You know what I mean? Like the look
Yeah.
and feel is fantastic. I just that kind of like gameplay where you have to like memorize and reproduce the perfect run to get through any individual stage. I'm much more comfortable with that in a 2D space than a 3D one,
Yeah.
or Like I just don't um I don't have the like specific kind of patience required to do that in first person. So I just bounced off it really hard. But like I recognize that it's a cool concept that if like that's your bag, great, you're in it, man. You're gonna have such a fun time. Um but yeah, I fucking hated the first one.
A game that I don't think it's possible to hate is Cat Quest,
Oh
Pirates
yeah.
of the Caribbean. This looks like a. It doesn't look interesting, but it looks like it would be enjoyable.
Yeah. But I mean it's the sort of thing where like you've played Cat Quest, you understand what it's about, and if you loved it, great. Here's more Cat Quest.
Yeah.
Fucking uh, get ready to dig in. And if not, it doesn't even show up on your radar. You don't care,
Yep.
and that's fine.
One that I think will be pretty hard to show up on anybody's radar based on where they put it in this showcase, aka right after Metal Gear Solid. So probably nobody actually looked at the trailer. Towers of Agazba.
Yeah, you know what? I actually have to click on that one because I don't remember a fucking thing.
It's some kind of settlement building, grow a sprawling world ecosystem kind of thing.
Okay,
Um,
right. So not really any spoken dialogue in the trailer. Just sort of like, oh, okay, in a different language. Okay,
yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of this.
okay. So you're talking to giant turtles and bringing a civilization back from the brink.
I'm seeing some resource gathering. I don't know, maybe Minecraft esque. One to watch, I
Yeah,
suppose.
could be cool.
Uh huh. Sword in the Sea. Uh, Journey 2, pretty much.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
The
pretty
last
much
game that
exactly
Giant
that.
yeah, the last game Giant Squid came out with was The Pathless. I reviewed that one a couple of years ago. It's great. Um, this sounds the same though. Build momentum to achieve great speeds and catch big air as you explore skate park like ruins. The Pathless was all about movement and chaining things together as well. I don't know. Maybe it'll
Well,
be
it's
fun.
just yeah, this is just their vibe. It's like Bungie and the giant floating obelisk. Um, you skate on your sword, so that's cool.
It's a cool
Who,
move.
who, yeah, who doesn't want to skate in their sword?
You know what is not on this blog post for some reason?
Mm,
Phantom
mm.
Blade Zero.
Right. God damn it. That absolutely was shown. I completely forgot about that.
That appeared to be like one of the more interesting things there.
Yeah. I Christ, I couldn't tell you two things about it, but it looked cool.
So
Yeah.
yeah, got some like Ghost of Tsushima vibes, got some Dark Souls vibes, a little bit of Sifu vibes. Um, it looked very Soulsy in the trailer, but I've also heard that it's more hack and slash than punishing brutal gameplay. Which, hey,
Okay.
I will take that any day. That's a good trade.
Yeah. a lot of the like swordplay stuff looked sort of like scripted, like you just press and then it happens. But if it is actually, responsive and in real time, that's amazing. It's one of those things we're gonna have to find out closer to release, like what the combat actually feels like, because it all looks very complex and fluid, which generally means you're just sort of like you have a couple limited inputs that you're putting in and just letting the system run. Um,
I assume there's a lot more HUD in the actual game, or
yeah,
indication of when you're about to be struck, those kinds of things that you need to have in a game like this.
yeah, like little lights or flashes or indicators of some sort.
This is one of the first Unreal Engine 5 games I've seen though, and it, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. Uh, you have only 66 days to live, it says. Oh man, what do you do with them 66 days?
Yeah, it says right at the end of the trailer too, like he's got 66 days to get his heart back.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's a good story.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, that's
cuts
dope.
through a table. That boss has a giant flamethrower wolf cannon on his hand. Yeah,
Yeah,
this looks fucking cool.
the visuals look crisp as fuck, friends. I didn't really catch that because like the showcase stream or whatever is very like limited in its like
Yeah,
bitrate or whatever, but like when you actually watch the 4K trailer, it looks crazy by comparison. And yeah, this the swordplay combat feels uh like so fluid that you just assume there's a catch of some sort.
hmm
So there's one move where a dude's just like swinging the swords, and you just sort of like duck underneath as he's doing that, and just sort of like stab at his legs. It's crazy.
yeah. I could also see this being kind of like Sekiro, but I hope not.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens, man. Oh, Phantom Blade Zero. Okay, yeah. Left off the blog post, definitely in the showcase. Absolutely worth paying the old attention to.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? Did they like have a tag for the showcase?
I don't know.
This must have been like a last minute edition because it's just not on the list.
Huh.
Okay, the last one that is on the list though, Revenant Hill.
Right. Boy, you know what? I gotta check it out. I don't remember a goddamn thing about it.
It's the one that was made by the people who made Night in the Woods.
Oh, geez, Louise. Yes. Okay. Yes.
I was convinced watching the trailer that this was like Night in the Woods too, because that is the same cat, but a little bit different. It sounds like it's set in the past, and it's about this
Okay.
cat's crazy hijinks as a cat, not as a cat person. Looks good.
Yeah. The they're going for a real vibe based on the breakdown written here, where it's just like host increasingly ambitious parties for witches and demons and other things that don't have proper names. Get tangled up in a world in the midst of violent change. Build a community by accident. Square dance with a possum. Eat mice. A lot of cat shit is happening. A lot of cat things are going down. That's cool.
And Stray proved that being a cat is pretty fun.
They did. They demonstrated pretty definitively that that's a good time for all involved.
All right, and that's it. Unless
My
there's
God,
something else
that's
that
it.
was left off the list, but hey, I can't be bothered
I
to check that.
Well, I don't. I wouldn't even know what it is because it's off the list and therefore it's out of my brain. Uh, what's your number one pick, I think, from this showcase? What's the thing you're the most excited for?
I'm the most curious to see what Marathon is all about.
Mm-hmm.
But again, no gameplay, so really hard to tell. In the immediate future, I know that Spider-Man is going to be great, so it feels like a no-brainer to pick that. But going off the board a little bit. Oh, not off the board. Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
Yep. How about yourself?
Oh,
And
Final Fantasy 16 for sure.
well, I barely even count that as being on the showcase. I mean that we're on the
Yeah,
cusp. We're on the cusp, James.
it's true. I mean, if we're going for stuff that's more distant than Final Fantasy 16, I think yeah, Spider-Man is feels so guaranteed that it's hard to even get the hype for it because it's like, oh, we know what it's going to be like. It's going to be great. I'm like, oh, okay, and my brain just sort of files it away. It's like, we'll pay attention to that when it comes out, and not before. Yeah,
Yeah. And 2023 quietly shaping up to be a ridiculous year.
yep,
We've already got Zelda, and that's going to be very difficult to dethrone at the end of the year as being, at very least, the most impactful. It's brilliantly designed, even if you don't love it top to bottom.
yep.
But hey, maybe it's Final Fantasy 16. Maybe it's Spider-Man 2. Maybe it's Starfield that turns out to be Game of the Year. I don't know. I don't know, James, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, Starfield could take it. You were absolutely correct. I I feel like personally, I feel like Starfield's 2024 patch will be the thing that puts it into the top contention, and that the 2023 version of Starfield we get will be not good. But again, happy to be proven wrong.
The unofficial patch mod will be the Game of the Year in 2024.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, I think that's it. That's the PlayStation Showcase 2023, at least the first one.
Yes.
I would not be surprised to see another one in the fall. I would also not be 100% surprised if they're not being real sneaky and they just push another showcase or a state of play out the door a couple weeks after Summer Games Fest.
Yeah.
They went first this time, but maybe they're going to get the last laugh. Who knows?
Yeah, Prezi season is still very much undiscovered country at this point. Now that we don't have the E3 anchor point, and we're all just sort of we've all just collectively decided that this is the time when you do your Prezis. Yeah,
Yeah, E4. It's one better, so
yeah,
the sequel to E3, E4, coming 2023.
Electronics Entertainment Expo Extreme.
Oh shit, I like it.
Yeah.
Well, James, it's been a pleasure, as always. If you've been watching or listening, thank you very much. We appreciate you. This is the podcast, Press X, the podcast, and we'll see you back here in a couple weeks for another episode where Rhett will probably return.
Oh, he'll be back.
He'll be back. Have a good one, everybody.
Good night.